What's going on, everybody? Welcome in to another episode of the Fantasy Football Busters podcast. We're back again. We were recording on Thursday, October 27th. My name is Eric. My co-host over there that is currently faceless, his name is Will. And if you've joined us before for any of our videos in the past, especially our sit-start videos, which we're doing again today, then you know why he's not on camera yet. But if you haven't joined us before, then let me explain it to you. So we do these sit-start videos for you guys. We try to put together a list of kind of fringe-worthy, flex-worthy plays that you're going to be probably deciding between when setting your lineups each and every week, and try to give you our opinions on how they're going to fare in their matchups to help you out in setting your lineups. So if you do find value from this, if this is helpful to you, please drop a like. That helps us out a lot. And if you want your specific sit-start questions answered, drop them down in the comments below. We'd be more than happy to help you out with those. So sorry for the tangent. I'll get back to the explanation. We do these for you, but we try to make them fun for us. So we made it a competition. We make this list. Whoever gets the most right wins. Whoever loses has to show up to the next episode in a costume, a mask, a hat, whatever it is. It's just got to be funny. So without further ado, I haven't seen it yet. You guys haven't seen it yet. Will, what you got going on for us today?
Oh, what I got going on for us today? Hey, I'm a fucking official over here.
Was he official?
Where's all the flags at, mate? Oi.
I love it.
Thanks,
dude.
Man.
The goggles are sick too. That's a good addition.
Oh yeah, we're only official out here. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
I dig it. Did you
Yeah.
steal that from MSOA?
Hey, bro. There's no need to talk so loud. There's no need.
Keep it on the down low. It's all good. All good.
It's all alleged at this point, you know. Who knows? Who knows even?
So we got the official in the building. Let's get this thing started. Week 8 sit starts for you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Before we get all the way into it, we got a couple teams on bye this week: Kansas City and the LA Chargers. So guys like Mahomes, Kelsey, Juju, Justin Herbert, Eckler, Everett, obviously Mike Williams and Keenan have been out with injuries, but all these guys are going to be missing for your lineups. So you're going to need some help, which is why we're here today.
Yeah, we know a lot of you guys are going to be missing out on CEH this week, so we're going to help you guys make some decisions on who you should be putting in besides CEH, and the answer is anybody. So let's get into it, I'm ready.
I saw you leaning into the mic. I was like, what's he up to? Fucking CEH, man. All right, let's quit the shenanigans. Will, since you are the loser from last week, I'll give you the option. Would you like to start us off, or would you like me to start us off?
Well, I'd like to first start off with I'm the loser pretty much every week, so let's calm down. This isn't new to me. Second, I'll go first. I'll start it off. I'll kick it off.
All right.
So, yeah, I'll start it off.
Okay. So, yeah, I forgot. I'm the host here. I got to do my duties. We got Andy Dalton taking on the Las Vegas Raiders, or the opposition, Derek Carr for the Raiders taking on the New Orleans Saints.
All right. So this is one that, again, one of those questions never really thought I'd get asked in 2022, but we're here. Yep. And it's seeming like the decision is swaying in a direction it probably wouldn't have swayed if you had asked me before 2022, because I'm leaning towards Andy Dalton in this matchup. I think that the Raiders defense is worse than the Saints defense. Derek Carr and the Raiders overall have just sort of been underperforming, as opposed to where them and a lot of teams in their division should have been performing this year, to be honest with you. Andy Dalton also been checking down to a lot of he's been throwing the ball to the actual playmakers on the team, unlike Jameis did earlier, getting the ball to Alvin Kamara, getting the ball out there to Chris Olave, who's been doing exceptionally well this year. I trust Andy Dalton's team more than I trust Derek Carr's talent with the Raiders. So I'm leaning more towards Andy Dalton in this situation.
Yeah, so I think I'm probably going to agree with you. While you were going through your explanation, which I agree with, I was trying to look up to see the health of the secondary in New Orleans, because I know that they've had a lot of guys out recently. Marshawn Lattimore missed practice again on Wednesday, and he's been sidelined for back-to-back games due to an abdomen injury, I believe. So that that could play a role in this matchup if he's not in or if any of the other key defenders are out. But overall, I think I agree with you. Las Vegas secondary hasn't been good. Their pass rush really hasn't even been that good either, where New Orleans front seven is a lot better. Andy Dalton, even in his 3 interception performance versus the Cardinals on Thursday night, still managed to put up like 26 or 27 fantasy points.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I'm going to agree with you here and go with Andy Dalton. So we'll get into our second quarterback matchup. Another one that may have been surprising heading into this year. Daniel Jones taking on Seattle in Seattle, or Kirk Cousins going up against the Arizona Cardinals. So I guess this one goes to me. Yeah, if you would ask me this at the beginning of the season, it's Kirk Cousins without a doubt. It's definitely still close. It's not an easy one for me. Arizona, we've talked about plenty in these past couple of videos. Their secondary is really good at locking up opposing number one receivers, and their secondary in general has been pretty good so far throughout the season. Byron Murphy is locking people up. Budda Baker's doing a really good job. So Kirk Cousins might have a little bit of trouble, but I just said Andy Dalton, in garbage time was able to rack up a bunch of points. I think Daniel Jones probably provides a safer floor just because of how much he's been running the ball. He went over 100 yards and went for a touchdown in his last game. He's been over 50 yards a couple times and gotten some scores on the ground. Seattle is also, a susceptible defense to pretty much everything, the run and the pass. I'm talking in circles here because I still haven't decided. I think I'm going to go with Kirk Cousins. I think I trust this offense to move the ball better than the Giants, which is crazy to say considering the Giants are 6-1 at this point. But I think I'm going to go Kirk Cousins just by a hair.
Okay. I'm swaying more towards Daniel Jones just because of that rushing floor that he does have. It's just something that boosts him entirely more than a lot of quarterbacks. I think so far this year he has more rushing yards than like Naji Harris, who's, supposed to be a professional running back. So,
yeah.
And the Seattle's defense isn't great. I know Arizona's defense also isn't great, but they have done a great job of locking down number one receivers. And I think if Justin Jefferson can't get super involved, it's going to hurt Kirk Cousins a lot. But yeah, I think I'm going to lean towards Daniel Jones, which sounds weird, but I think he's going to be able to just put together something better than Kirk Cousins will this week at least.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all. That'll be the first one that we disagree on.
It's always the shittiest ones we disagree on.
It always comes down to the terrible matchups.
Yeah.
All right, so we got running back next. This first one is Antonio Gibson taking on the Indianapolis Colts, or Michael Carter, who's now, I guess, the starter. James Robinson comes in. They'll probably give him some time to get acclimated, but he's going up against the New England Patriots, and this one goes back to you.
Okay. Yeah, so we got Gibby up against the Colts, Michael Carter against the Patriots. Patriots looking a little bit vulnerable after the last week, especially to the rush. But Antonio Gibson was looking decent. He's honestly been looking like the better running back over there with the Commanders situation. However, there have been some trade rumors popping up recently concerning Antonio Gibson as well. And if that's going to affect his status in this game, I completely doubt it. I think, that's going to be more so towards the future if that happens. But I think, like you had said, Breece Hall going down, them bringing in James Robinson, it's sort of easy to slot running backs in because there's not a whole lot they really, really have to learn, at least to get going. And then you typically ramp people up like Christian McCaffrey last week. But I think because of that, Michael Carter is going to be getting the lion's share of the workload this week. And New England's defense has been looking particularly vulnerable lately. And that's, I'm leaning towards Michael Carter in this. This is a divisional matchup too. I think this is an opportunity for him to at least have another good week before he gets usurped again, if he gets usurped again.
Yeah. Okay. I think I might lean the other direction for this one, actually. I like all of what you said. I do think that Michael Carter is probably going to be the lead back. I think that they're going to give James Robinson at least a week to kind of get acclimated before they really give him a lot of the early down work and start to split that backfield up. And yeah, like you said, Antonio Gibson has kind of looked like the better back recently. He's been getting a little bit more involved in the passing game, phasing out J.D. McKissick just a little bit. He's still involved some, but he got the receiving touchdown last game. He's been pretty efficient. Indianapolis with the quarterback change, who knows how that's going to work out. So I can't really tell you what the game script is going to be in this one. I can't imagine it's going to be a blowout in either direction. So I feel like Antonio Gibson's going to be fairly involved, and I'm going to take Antonio Gibson in this matchup. Gibby. So let's get into running back matchup number 2. We have D'Onta Foreman at Atlanta or Naji Harris in Philly. This one's back to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have just been shitting on Naji Harris all season, and I think deservedly so. He's underperformed mightily. It's been a rough year for him, but it hasn't been he hasn't been entirely unstartable. I think the past 2 weeks he's gotten like 11 or 12 fantasy points, and then 9 or 10 the past 2 weeks. He's going up against Philly's defense, who's really good, so that worries me. D'Onta Foreman, on the other hand, just had a great week against Tampa Bay's defense. I think that was a fluke. Atlanta's run defense has actually been pretty decent. If Chuba Hubbard is back and healthy from whatever that little ankle injury was that he suffered at the end of the game, then they're going to be splitting work. I think that probably means that Naji Harris is a little bit more likely to score a touchdown in this one, but it's so hard for me to trust him. I think I'm going to lean that direction, though, just for the touchdown upside, maybe a garbage time, like dump offs and stuff like that. I'm going to go with Naji Harris.
Okay. Yeah, you love a good first round pick versus waiver wire running back start sit. But that's just the season Naji Harris has given us. D'Onta Foreman, like we said last week, he did really well last week. Him and Chuba Hubbard both did. And I'm looking at that game largely as an outlier. I don't think that's going to happen every week. It was, by all intents and purposes, it really wasn't supposed to happen like that. So it's just a statistical outlier. Whereas Naji Harris, even though the team's really bad, he still is extremely involved, him and Jaylen Warren. So I'm going to lean the same way that you did. I'm going to mirror a lot of the same sentiments you had. I'm going with Naji Harris against Philly. I think he has more of an opportunity to find the end zone just based off of pure, like you said, just pure volume alone.
Yeah. So I think our analysis is sound there, but you know what this means. If we're both taking Naji Harris, he's going to disappoint. Dude.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be D'Onta.
He's going to score 1 point. He's getting 2 points. He's getting 12 rushes for 15 yards.
Yeah.
And 3 catches for 10 yards and a touchdown.
If you're watching this, don't listen to us on this one. You can't be all in on Naji and count on that to actually happen. So
yeah, I don't want to get anybody's hopes up. He's not turning it around against Philly. Let's be real.
Just a little disclaimer there. But let's hop into our wide receiver matchups. We have Tyler Lockett taking on the New York Giants, or Adam Thielen going up against the Arizona Cardinals.
Now, this is an interesting one because there's a couple reasons. Because Arizona, as we talked about, and we talked about in prior weeks, I talked about it earlier today, they're really good at locking down number one receivers, but past that, it's open season. So with Adam Thielen's role with the Vikings, he almost kind of operates in a weird way, and it's going to sound weird for me to say this, but he almost operates sort of like a tight end. Not from a blocking perspective, but more so like from a safety perspective, from a red zone perspective. He's somebody that Kirk Cousins looks to at least often enough that I feel like he could be a viable option this week. However, Tyler Lockett going against the Giants, undoubtedly going to be the number one receiver this week because DK Metcalf's not going to be playing. He'll only have to compete with like Marquise Goodwin, Noah Fant, things of that nature. And Tyler Lockett's been performing pretty well so far this season. I'm going to go towards Tyler Lockett instead of Adam Thielen, even though everything I said earlier. I think Tyler Lockett has more of the opportunity to be to have more volume in this offense. I think he's going to be the guy that they look to early, they look to often. And Adam Thielen's going to probably be a little bit more touchdown dependent. He has been more touchdown dependent later in his career. So, I'm leaning towards Tyler Lockett against the Giants here.
Yeah, You bring up a lot of good points on both sides. I think I'm probably going to lean the same direction. Tyler Lockett has been dealing, I think, with a hamstring injury these past couple of weeks, and
Mm-hmm.
it has clearly hampered him. I think it's definitely made a difference in his play. Um, Hopefully, he'll be back and healthy. Like, obviously, he's still been playing through it, and was still heavily targeted even last week while dealing with that injury. So hopefully, he's a little bit closer to 100%, if not fully recovered. And yeah, with DK Metcalf going down, there's just not a lot of target competition there. He's clearly the number one. So I think he's probably the safest bet to go with here. Like you said, Adam Thielen, he's liable to score a touchdown any week, and if he does, he might make us look foolish. But I think I'm going to agree with you and go with Tyler Lockett.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah.
So let's get into wide receiver matchup number 2. We have Michael Pittman going up against the Washington Commanders, or Tyler Boyd in Cleveland going up against the Browns. So this one is back to me. This is another one that we really shouldn't even be talking about. If you asked us this before the season, we were super high on Michael Pittman. Tyler Boyd, yeah, he's in a good offense, but he's kind of an afterthought. It sucks that we have to be in this position where it's actually a discussion. Michael Pittman with the quarterback change, we don't know how that's going to affect target distribution. Even with Matt Ryan under center, Michael Pittman wasn't consistent. He wasn't dominating as the alpha number one wide receiver that we hoped he would be. And Tyler Boyd is coming off of a 25, 26-point explosion last week, and hasn't even been all that inconsistent. He's actually been putting up decent numbers week in and week out with the passing volume increasing over there in Cincinnati. All of that being said, I think I'm probably still going to go with Pittman. It's just so hard for me to take a guy who's should be the third option in his passing offense versus the clear number one.
Mm-hmm.
So for that reason, I think I'm going to go with Pittman.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I've got no type of data or statistics that would say that Sam Ehlinger is going to do well this week, but I think they're going to have to throw the ball pretty often. I think Michael Pittman has been so far, at least as of recent weeks, he's been playing on 100% of snaps for the Colts as well. So he's always out there on the field. Tyler Boyd, like you said, he's a guy who we hear about every single year. Every year is the Tyler Boyd breakout year. I think this is the first year that people have kind of given up on that narrative, really. And, it kind of makes sense. Cleveland's secondary is pretty decent as well, but yeah, I got to go Michael Pittman too. I just trust him more as a talent than I trust Tyler Boyd, who's just hasn't really put it all together. He has great games. He's had a couple great ones this year already, but I don't see that continuing, like you said, for the number 3 option in this offense, especially while T. Higgins is still coming back from injury, and I think he's going to be, somewhat close to full speed this week. And
Yeah,
then
agreed.
Jamar Chase has been playing lights out already, so it's just not a whole lot of volume out there for everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Jamar's been playing out of his mind, dude. He's put up close to 30 points in back-to-back weeks. It's been nuts.
He's been absolutely insane. So
yeah,
I'm gonna go Michael Pittman there.
I dig it. We agree in both of our wide receiver matchups. So let's get into the flex. We'll do some running back versus wide receivers here. We got Ezekiel Elliott taking on the Chicago Bears, and I saw you put some asterisks, hard word to say. You put that next to his name because it's possible that he sits out this one. He's questionable currently, dealing with knee sprain and some knee bruising. He took a helmet to the knee in his last game. So this one will depend on whether he plays or not. But we got Ezekiel Elliott or Wan'Dale Robinson in Seattle taking on the Seahawks.
Yeah, this is one of those matchups too. Zeke, the more trusted running back in this backfield, or Wan'Dale Robinson, the rookie wide receiver for the Giants, who got 6 catches for 50 yards in the first half last game. It's tough. It's tough, but I think I'm going to lean towards Wan'Dale Robinson. That's even if Zeke plays, so that's not even taking into account the injury. I'm going Wan'Dale Robinson just based on his usage, based on how much they want to get him involved. He's looking to be Daniel Jones's one of his favorite targets out there on the field, which for those of you who didn't watch weeks 1 through 4, that was Sterling Shepard before he got hurt. And it seems like Wan'Dale is sort of getting slotted into that Sterling Shepard alpha dog role for the Giants. So, yeah, I'm going to lean towards Wan'Dale Robinson in this instance.
Yeah, I like that pick. I think I'm also going to go that direction. Yeah, Wandale 2 weeks ago was his not debut. He played in week one, but got hurt
Mm-hmm.
within like the first drive, I think, and then missed all the way up until 2 weeks ago. He came back and they played him in limited snaps, just kind of get him acclimated and back to full health. And he got a ridiculous target share. I want to say it was like over 30%. And his targets per route run was really high. People were questioning whether or not that was going to translate if we saw his snaps increase, and that's exactly what we saw last week. He went from like a 15% or I don't know 20% routes. I'm struggling here. Like route percentage, the amount of routes that he ran compared to Daniel Jones dropbacks, all the way up to like 65 or 70%. And that same efficiency and target rate continued. So he's clearly the number one in this offense right now. I don't think that's going to change going up against Seattle. I think that's going to be a good spot for him. Ezekiel Elliott, though, clearly the Cowboys trust him, regardless of whether he's hurt or Tony Pollard's being more efficient. It doesn't matter. They keep wanting to give the ball to Ezekiel Elliott. They proved that last
Mm-hmm.
week. He's still got 2 scores and more touches, even though Tony Pollard was way more efficient. So it's possible that we could see that again against a poor Chicago run defense. But yeah, I like Wandale. He's getting targeted a lot. I'm going to go that way.
Hell yeah.
So I wanted some chaos here. I wanted to talk about this backfield because I think people are probably going to have a lot of questions about it. We brought up Zeke already. Now we'll go to Tony Pollard, also against Chicago, or Christian Kirk taking on the Denver Broncos. This one's back to me.
Mm-hmm.
When I made this list yesterday evening, we hadn't gotten as much of the news about Ezekiel Elliott, and like I don't know, it's been less than positive um, over last night and into this morning. So it's sounding more and more like Tony Pollard's gonna be the guy, uh, which makes me lean in his direction. I think prior to that, I probably would have gone with Christian Kirk because his target volume has been on the rise once again after we saw that few games where it kind of dipped down. Even though Denver's defense is really, really good, I think their secondary is first in the league as far as like allowing the least amount of points to wide receivers. But just because of the situation at this point, I think I'm going to go with Tony Pollard.
Yeah, I think this is one of those. It's a tougher decision if Zeke comes back and he's healthy, but I think even if he isn't, I'm still leaning towards Tony Pollard in this situation. I think against Chicago for sure they're going to be struggling. Tony Pollard again in this situation has been the better running back in this backfield, but Zeke is the more trusted guy. He's a guy they're paying a lot of money, so obviously they're going to use him as much as they can. And Christian Kirk, even though he did have a bounce back game this past week, I would like to see it again. Denver's starting to get back some of their guys. Like I know they had just recently activated Justin Simmons recently, so that's something else that's going to help bolster that defense some, especially in the passing game. So yeah, I think I trust Tony Pollard a little bit more, especially if he gets to start this week. If he gets to start this week, I feel like this one's sort of a no-brainer. Like you should probably go with Tony Pollard. But if it's not the case, I would still lean probably towards Tony Pollard over Christian Kirk.
All right, fair enough. I dropped the ball in this matchup. I need to do better.
Nah, it's all good.
I'll pick up the slack next week, guys. Don't worry, it's fine.
It's all good, dog.
Let's get into our last 2 matchups. We're into the tight ends now. We got Harrison Bryant taking on the Cincinnati Bengals with David Njoku out, so he becomes the de facto starter. And then on the other side of this same matchup, we got Hayden Hurst at Cleveland taking on the Browns.
Okay. With this one, we got Harrison Bryant obviously filling in the void for David Njoku, who went down with an ankle sprain last week. And we got Hayden Hurst of the Bengals, who's somebody I actually said that we should keep an eye on before the season started. I think he was an honorable mention in my tight ends rankings, so I'm a little bit proud of that one. He's been doing extremely well so far this season. Talking about Hayden Hurst. He's been averaging somewhere around 5 targets a game. I think 7 games, 39 targets, so a little bit over 5. But as of recently, with T. Higgins' injury, I think he's been averaging somewhere around 8 since they've been starting to ramp him back up. So Hayden Hurst, even though I don't even know what option he is at this point with this team. Is he the third option? Is he the fourth option? It's a very
Tough to say.
yeah, it's tough to say. Whereas with Harrison Bryant, I don't think it's as tough to say. I think he's either the second or third option on that team at the very least in the receiving game. And we know that Jacoby Brissett likes to throw the ball to tight ends. David Njoku heavily involved these last few weeks. And Harrison Bryant, even though David Njoku is a better athlete, Harrison Bryant still is not a bad receiving option at all. He's done very well in past years as well. And even though I like Hayden Hurst and I like the Bengals offense more, I think Harrison Bryant has more of a chance to actually have, a game where he's heavily involved in that game script. So, well, they're both in the same game. But, yeah, you know what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, this is one of the tougher ones on the sheet for me, I think. You made a lot of good points. Hayden Hurst could be the third option, maybe even the fourth option if you put him behind Tyler Boyd, which based off of last week, that's probably the case. But also, this is definitely the better offense, the more efficient offense. And they've been ramping up the passing game by a ton. This is something that I'm also going to talk about a lot when we get into our buys and sells. That's going to be our next video if you guys want to check that out. That'll be up soon. But yeah, this offense has gone from, I believe, like 3 or 4% pass rate over expectation through the first 5 weeks to like 20% pass rate over expectation these past 2 weeks. So if this trend continues, it doesn't matter if they're blowing teams out. They're going to continue passing the ball, letting Joe Burrow air it out. And that means great things for fantasy production for all of the receivers in this offense. So that's really encouraging for Hayden Hurst. But like you said, Harrison Bryant is probably going to be the number 2. He's not as good as David Njoku, so maybe they drop him behind a guy like Donovan Peoples-Jones or something in the pecking order. Tough to say, but he's probably got a clearer path to opportunity. Even with that said, I think I'm actually going to lean Hayden Hurst here and just bet on the offense.
Okay. I like it.
So that'll be our third matchup that we disagree on.
Hell yeah.
Excited to see how this turns out. Let's get into our last tight end matchup. We got Dalton Schultz taking on the Chicago Bears. This is actually a threefer. Forgot that I made 3 in this one. Irv Smith Jr. taking on the Arizona Cardinals, or Greg Dulcich going up against Jacksonville across the pond in London.
Okay. Yeah, this is kind of a tough one as well. We got Dalton Schultz up against Chicago, who not terrible against the tight end position, but also not very good. We got Greg Dulcich with the Denver Broncos going up against Jacksonville, who's in the bottom third when it comes to playing against the tight end. We got Irv Smith Jr. against Arizona, a team who let up a lot of points to the tight end position last week.
We called that Juwan Johnson pick, so we'll see if that happens again.
Yeah, man. It's like I kind of want to ride that trend and go with Irv Smith Jr. here again. I just think it's one of those things where it's a matchup-dependent thing. And in the past, when teams have struggled against the tight end position, it's sort of been a trend throughout the season. It's not something that really just gets corrected overnight. And Greg Dulcich, honestly, the thing that's holding me back a lot from Greg Dulcich right now is just what if Russ comes back, man? That guy kind of sucks,
It does sound like he is going to be back, but in his debut, Russ was his quarterback. He scored a touchdown.
Yeah, man, but he's out there doing fucking high knees on the plane. By the way, bro, if I ever catch anybody doing high knees on the plane next to me, I'm getting violently angry. I might beat the shit out of him. But
yeah. Everybody's trying to sleep, and he's in the aisle saying fucking let's ride.
Let's ride.
Huffing and puffing, doing high knees, man. Sit the fuck down. What are you doing?
I would have gotten suspended for the week, probably. But and then Dalton Schultz, he kind of sounds like he's the odd man out here, and I don't want anybody to think I don't like Dalton Schultz. I think he gets a lot of volume in this offense. Last week he got 5 catches for like 49 yards, so he is very involved. But I just gotta. What's up?
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm checking right now. I think he got... No, I'm wrong. Never mind. I was about to hype him up. I thought he had like 7 targets, but he went 5 for 5. 5 targets,
okay.
5 catches for 49 yards.
But still, that's still pretty involved, especially for a tight end. That's what you like to see. I think all of these guys are going to be good starts at the tight end position, but I think the one that I'd have to go with just based on matchup and based on boom ability, I'd probably go Irv Smith Jr. here, just based off what happened last week, because there's a lot of people who are looking at that list saying, who is Jawan Johnson? And why do you guys think he's going to do well? And he put up 20 points. So, yeah, sometimes you got to trust the trends.
Yeah, I like that a lot. You brought up a lot of good points. All three of these guys are definitely startable and should probably be in a lot of people's lineups. Dalton Schultz has that connection with Dak Prescott, and that showed through even in Dak's first game back last week. Chicago's defense is a little bit better against tight ends, and we'll see which Chicago offense shows up this week. It's going to be tough against that Dallas defense, who's just absolutely relentless. The front seven is going to be getting after it against Justin Fields. Their secondary has been good too. So they'll probably be able to lean on the run, I think. They probably won't have to pass much in Dallas. So that scares me off Dalton Schultz just a little bit. Greg Dulcich has been getting more and more involved these past couple weeks, taking on Jacksonville. They've been, pretty decent against tight ends. I think he's trending up, and I think he's somebody that needs to be on people's radars. If he hasn't been picked up, we've been talking about him in our waiver wire segments. Definitely add him to your roster. But yeah, I'm going to agree with you here. I'm going to go with Irv Smith Jr. We're riding the hot hand, or I guess the cold hand of Arizona's tight end defense. And yeah, I think that's going to continue this week. We'll see Irv Smith with a big one for fantasy.
Plus, Call of Duty comes out this week, too. So, Arizona is looking like a down week for y'all, man. Let me tell you.
That's a good point. All right. So, that will wrap up our list of start-sits. If you got any value from this, if you found this useful, if it helped you make your sit-start decisions, then please leave us a like. That would be much appreciated. We do this for you guys. Thanks for sticking with us till the end. If you want to see our next videos coming out down the pipeline, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, all that good YouTube stuff. Will, what do you want to say to the people before we get out of here?
Hey, man, there's still a lot you guys can do if you want to be involved in the community, Check out the description. You'll find our Twitter links. You can check us out on Twitter. We usually tweet a lot of fantasy football stuff. I tweet some shit posts every once in a while. It's fun stuff. We've also got the TikTok if you want to follow us over there. We got a Spin the Wheel challenge we do every single week. We've got waiver wire videos. We got weather reports. We got all sorts of stuff going on over there. So check it out when you get the opportunity to, and, give us a follow over there as well. And if you got start sits, any type of fantasy football questions, drop them down in the link in the comments below.
In the comments.
Jesus. Drop them down in the comments below. You can drop them down in DMs to us if you want. We're here to give free fantasy football advice. There's no paywall, nothing like that. So ask away. We'll give you an answer. And if you have a good enough sit start, or even if you just send us a sit start you want us to involve in this video, we will get involved for next week's video as well. So if you want to look forward and give us some stuff to look forward to as well, we can do that. So, like we said, and like we always say, if you made it this far in the video, we love you. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again this week. Peace.
Peace.
I'm winning again. How could I lose? I was born just to win. Could never lose, so I'm winning again. I'm winning again. I'm winning again. Minute by minute, I'm meeting the end.